All right, with God's help, we're learning today the second for the second day, the mimer in Likuti Torah about Korach. And we learned yesterday that Korach had this very strange and very successful, as far as he was concerned, argument with Moses that it swept the imaginations of all of the Jewish people and got them so inspired to make a revolution that they all revolted against Moshe. This is, of course, in addition. This came right after the revolution that was previous to that, with the refusal to enter the land of Israel. So we see Moses had big troubles. So we see what it is to be a Jewish leader. We see what's expected of a Jewish leader. So you can't expect, you see from this the amazing miracles that God does here in the land of Israel. Amazing. And we've got the worst leaders in the world. Terrible. And they have no values, no principles. They don't know what. Well, I just heard this morning, someone said to me, remember there used to be this movie called Exodus? There was a movie called Exodus. Remember that? I remember when I was a boy, I saw the movie. I don't even know if I understood what was going on, but I saw the movie. And the theme song, I think that they should. I hope nobody hears this theme song though. It's been around for I don't know how long, 60 years or something. This land is mine. God gave this land to me. You can actually say that in public. And here's a song. The Rebbe said that. Why don't any of the Jewish politicians, the Israeli politicians especially, why don't they go in the United Nations and say that? Say the land is mine. God gave the land to me. So you see what it means to be a Jewish leader. That you have to have this idea in your mind that I'm going to do what God wants, and all the Jewish people are going to be against you. So a Jewish leader is really demanded is really expected to do, to be a defiant person for the sake of the Torah, because the Jewish people, the world in general is against us. It's just that the Jewish people want to join the rest of the world. So here we have Moses. Moses is standing against, first of all, last week, now he's standing against. Okay, so we have to remember that the Jewish people are a spiritual people. The Jewish people are God's people, not just spiritual. We can say spiritual in the sense that they're not run by, they shouldn't be run by material considerations. Their main motivation of the Jewish people and their main idea, their slogan, the slogan of Israel, the saying, like France has liberty, fraternity, and equality, and the what is America has life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. The slogan of Judaism is Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. That's the saying of the Jewish people. God gave the land. Okay. So here we got Moshe standing against all the Jewish people. So if the Jewish people are opposing Moses, it can't be, and especially it's written in the Torah, it can't just be, a historical thing or a political thing or a lesson in sociology or something, psychology. What is it? Group mass psychology. There must be some very deep and very good themes running under this whole thing, because you see that all the Jewish people were motivated, their souls were motivated. I mean, it's not all the Jewish people are just a bunch of selfish, the losers. That's why Moses prayed for them over and over again. He prayed for them. He had hope. He knew that there was going to have problems, and he knew that was the work. That was the work. Okay, so we're going to see this, especially we're going to see it in the Sikha of the Rebbe that we're going to learn today. God forbid. I'm sorry. How did I throw that in? The Sikh of the Rebbe that we're going to learn today. And, God forbid to say that the Jewish people are just, sinners and losers. And the reason that they went against Moses is because they're just a bunch of, incorrigible, selfish, whatever it is. Not so. But on the other hand, the problem is they just either misunderstand things or they do not, they just can't stand against their own impulses. So let's go on. So the Rebbe said, if we want to understand the argument between Moses and the Jewish people and how Korach convinced the Jewish people to go against Moses and he won, and God had to step in order to change the whole thing. He says we have to understand a little bit, what is the commandment of tzitzit? Here we go. What is the commandment of tzitzit? Because that was one of the points of the argument of Korach. So what do we say? Korach took a talit. He took 400 men and he put garments on them, and they were all dyed blue. And he said to Moses, a talit that's totally blue, does it have to have a blue string in order to exempt it? And Moses said, of course, that's the law. And everybody started laughing at Moses. Ha, 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 ha. Moses, what a fool. Right? And Moses looked foolish. Okay, what was going on here? And the law, of course, is like Moses. That's the whole thing of tzitzit. Tzitzit is you have to have on a garment that has four corners. It doesn't make any difference what color it is. You have to have tzitzit. Some people say that the tzitzit have to be the same color as the garment. But in any case, if it's blue, you have to have tzitzit on it. You have to have these strings on it. What's the question? Why were they all laughing? What were they so sure about? What was? And that made a big revolution. That was one of his campaign platform. So what's going on over here? So let's see. Let's do this quickly. We said before. Va'ata now, Yuvan, and we can understand the argument between Korach and his. We skipped. The Rebbe explained different aspects in the creation of the world, especially explain what's this aspect of how God surrounds the world and God fills the world, it says. And God surrounds the world. That's an aspect of godliness which is equal everywhere. Like creation, everything exists, right? A flower exists, and the angels exist, and atoms exist, and right, the spiritual atzilus, just the fact that things exist. That's already what's called surrounding level of God. God surrounds everything; it's equal everywhere. And then there's aspects of God that fill the world, and that's how God comes into the world. We can see the life force which is in a plant is different than an animal, etc. And each plant is different. Now we're going to see Omer Korach. Korach said a talit which is all blue. The rhyme, like the Arizal says, is mavur. It's explained. The Nitkana Korach. The Korach was jealous of the beard of Aaron. So Korach did not want strings. He didn't want strings. He didn't want there to be a beard. He didn't want there to be strings coming from the talits. He didn't like strings. He had something against strings. What's going on over here? And all the Jewish people said, well, yeah, Korach, you're right. Go get them. Right? We're with you. We don't like strings either. What's happening over here? It's all one thing. Inyan Kohen got the whole idea of Aaron, who he was the high priest. Nikra Shishvina the Matronisi. He's called the escort of the queen. The queen is the Jewish people. The king is God. At Mount Sinai, God got married to the Jewish people. The Jewish people became his queen. Shehu Hamayla and the Neshamas Yisrael b'Makoro. That he elevated the Jewish people. He elevated them to their source. United them with the king. The source of the Jewish people, of course, is the creator of the universe, or Ein Sof, in the infinite oneness, light, creative power of God. Namely, how does Aaron elevate the Jewish people? Aaron, that Korach was jealous of him. How did he elevate the Jewish people? By means of by drawing into them a tremendous inspiration. Remember, we learned this yesterday. A tremendous inspiration of love. That's the idea of the beard of the high priest. Like it says, Keshemen Atov al Rosh Yored al Zakan Zakan Aaron. Psalm 133. It comes down on the beard of Aaron. Sheyored al Pi Midosav, and it comes down on his garments. Midotov means his garments, and it also means his. The word midah also means character traits, emotions. Bad midos. Hainu shenimshach v'yored al yado mibechinas midosav shel HaKodesh Baruch Hu. It draws down from the what's called the midos of God, shehu ahava rabbah. The emotions of God are drawn down into the Jewish people. God, listen. Like I said, that was one of the reasons the Jewish people were chosen. What were they chosen? To tell the non-Jews how much God loves them. He's creating them. That's an act of love. His relationship with the non-Jews is not the same as with the Jews, but nevertheless, the relationship of God with the whole world is one of love. Olam chesed yibaneh. God creates everything from just giving from. But the job of the Jews is to reveal this to everybody. So that was first of all, they have to embody that in themselves. And that was the job of Aaron. Aaron, what do you want to call him? Woke up, discovered, revealed in every single Jew this tremendous love of God. Ubechinas Rav Chesed, which is called this level of infinite kindness. Therefore, nimshach davka al yadei zakan. Therefore, it has to come by means of the beard of Aaron. Why? Because it's too much. The love of God is too powerful. It's like putting a billion watts into a 20-watt light bulb. Can't do it. So there has to be this zakan Aaron. That's the idea of the beard of Aaron. Bechinas sarot, which is the idea of hairs. Because this love of God is above the whole entire creation, even above the spiritual. Alkein, therefore, it cannot come into the world. Only by means of hairs. Davka. Al derech mashal, like we have an example. It's hairs, for instance, like an example. Okay, what's going on? I mean, because Aaron had a beard. If Aaron would have shaved off his beard, then there wouldn't be any kindness of God in the world. What does this mean? Right? I mean, that's a pretty powerful beard that he's got over there. It should be like glowing in the dark or something. He says, no, that's not the point. The point is, of course, man is made in the image of God. Not right. Every man is made in the image of God, but not everyone demonstrates this fact. Not everyone demonstrates the fact that he's made in the image of God. It's like a person that's a genius doctor or something like that, but he's shy. He doesn't like to heal people. Or he doesn't know he's a doctor. Got hit in the head. Doesn't remember that he's a doctor. Right? In other words, it's in his potential. It's in his potential to reveal this tremendous goodness in the world. But the goodness of God is just too much. So man is made in the image of God. What man does has a tremendous effect on what God does. Tremendous effect on what God does. And how man looks is a tremendous, an example, if you want to call it, on how God looks, so to speak. But we know God doesn't have a form. So let's take an example, what it means that we look like what God looks. The beard is representative of God's kindness, God's mercy. That's God's mercy, right? If you look up and you'll see, you look up at God, you take a camera with you, take a picture, you're not going to see a big, huge man with a big, huge beard. No, what you're going to see is God's mercy. Can you take a picture of mercy? What does it mean? Take a picture of mercy. Take a picture of love. You can take a picture of examples of love, right? A mother with her child, that's it. Good friends. But you can't think, but that's only an example. What is love itself, right? All this Greek philosophy deals with all this stuff, Plato and all these guys. Pure love. What does it mean to see the pure love? You can't see it. It says God's love, how it comes into the world that is the closest we can get to it is looking at Aaron, the face of Aaron, or any big tzaddik like this, with the beard. They say the Baba Sali, Rav Yisrael Abu Chatzera, who was a very, very holy man. He and the Rebbe were like brothers. They were very, and he didn't have a beard. When he was younger, didn't have a beard. I don't know, in his 20s, whatever. And he prayed and he fasted. And the day when a few hairs grew out, he made a big party with everybody. A beard is very important. It used to be in America that they used to have this thing that a beard was the image of God. People used to have beards because it was the image of God. Okay. In any case, the beard of Aaron for sure was in the image of God. And this is the idea of that he was jealous because, in other words, Korach was a very, very spiritual person. And that's why he was jealous of the beard, not just because he wanted, he had a beard of his own. What the hell would he have to be jealous of Aaron's beard? Because Aaron's beard that represents the great love of God that Aaron had the ability to draw into the world. Right? Like you have the Havdil, you have composers, they can make beautiful music. Everybody cries, everybody this, right? But the beauty was already there. He just had to have the person to draw it into the world. Aaron had the ability to somehow or other draw the great love of God into, infinite love of God into every Jew and elevate the Jews that they too would reciprocate. They would have love of God. They would elevate them. Masha Inkin, which is not the case, Ahava, love which is born by means of Anoledes v'nimshachas rak me'aseichel, which is not the case, normal love of God, which let's say you and me can get by learning Maimorium or learning these classes. This is in an ordinary, normal way. This is like it's explained above. That's the whole idea of the beard of Aaron. Shirad el Pimidos that comes down on his midos on his garments or on his aspects. The aspects of God from above, God's emotions, so to speak, which are above understanding. Midotov, God's emotions. And this is the whole idea of tzitzis. That's the idea of the string of tzitzis, which is blue, the loven and white. That's dechila v'rachimo. Dechilu v'rachimo. Dechilu means fear and love. Ilain, upper fear and upper love. It says that the two tzitzis that are in front is drawn down love in a way of panim. Shu bechinas hasaga, understanding. The two tzitzis which are on the front of the two tzitzis, right? There's four on each corner, four of these groups of strands, right? There's 8 strands on each corner. There's really 4, but it's doubled over. Four strands, but they're doubled over. So it comes out to look like 8. So it says that's the whole idea of the strands of the tzitzis. That's love and fear. This is what Aaron drew into the world. This is what Aaron drew into the world. I'm sorry I muted you. Whoever just came in, you can write down questions if you want, or after the class. Okay, you can ask questions because there's background noise. I'm sorry that I had to mute you. Okay. Okay, so here we go. We have Aaron. So the whole entire, what's the Rebbe saying over here? Let's start off with the Jews first. The Jews, the purpose of the Jews, we said, is to bring blessing into the whole world, to convince the non-Jews how much God loves them, how much God cares about them, to put meaning, to put holiness, life, health, love, happiness in the world. That's supposed to be the job of the Jews. But in order to do this, they have to have the proper leaders. That was Aaron, he drew down, he inspired all the Jews with this tremendous love of God and fear of God. Fear means awe. Fear in a way is much more necessary than love is. Love, of course, is very necessary, but fear is more necessary. In fact, in a way, love comes from fear. Right? Fear means you feel awesomeness, you feel a tremendous value for something that's very how do you say, astounding, right? It touches your very life. It's not in your control, right? You see on the big, a huge, somebody gives you these people, like they win the lottery. They win the lottery. Oh, they're so happy. If they had a little bit of fear, they win the lottery, they should have said, whoa, $50 million, man. I hope I don't make a mistake. I could really make a really big mistake with $50 million. Right? In Israel, I don't know, when they win the lottery, they take a picture of the person, they put a bag over their head. Seriously, they put a bag over their head with two eyes in it, and then they take a picture of the person with the bag over his head. Just so they'll have this picture, he can show to his people why the bag, because he's afraid that all of his relatives are going to come, they take the money, and all of a sudden he's going to have these weird friends are going to pop up from nowhere. So if a person really had fear of let's say getting so much money, so he wouldn't do stupid things with it, which people usually do. So fear is a necessary thing. It says that the people who win these big lotteries, if they immediately get like accountants and advisors, and before they do anything. So in other words, this level of fear, this is what keeps you in boundaries, that you realize that keeps you in reality. So that's the fear of God. You realize the reality, the infinite power of the Creator. And this is going to be the big theme of this whole thing, this power of God, because that's where Korach comes from. He's a Levi, and he comes from this side. So let's see. But in the Levites, it says, Ve'aviru tar, that the Levites, when they become inaugurated, they have to shave off all of their hair, because the Levites, they come from not like Aaron, even though they're the same family. Aaron is also a Levite. But because Aaron, his thing is love, and the Levites, their thing is singing, raising up their voices. That's from the left side, it says. Is Gavuros. They come from what's called power. Aaron is like water, like love. And the Levites, they're like fire, power. Okay, and therefore, Adarab, exactly the opposite. If there's too much of this, there can't be too much. Too much contractions are very bad. What does it mean, contractions? Contractions mean being more and more egotistical, not being aware of the Creator. If so, there would be too much severity. It says when a person, if he removes all of his hair, then he is called a Korach. This word Korach means bald, and then he is tahor. It's one of the laws of Torat. It says Nikra Kain. That's why Korach is called Korach. The word Korach, Lefi Halavim, because Levim tzorach liot kain, because Levim, they have to be this level of Korach. They have to be, at least when they're inaugurated, they have to be bald. In other words, not to draw out what they've got. What they have, the severity is a very good thing, but it has to be controlled very, very much. The davka b'kohanim, only the kohanim sheshorsham and is rav chesed, because the kohanim, they're in this level of great kindness, and then the hairs that they have, they can draw down godliness into the world. Like we said, in Aaron, there has to be hairs. The kindness, the love of God is too much to be all drawn down at one time. It has to be articulated, limited. Sarot levad. Therefore, God's kindness and God's love can only come into the world in little strands. If not, if God just gave his kindness at one time, you couldn't take it. Right? Like the people who win, the people who win the lottery. If they don't control themselves, if they don't have these, like we had, like we said, the sorrow, the limitations, if they don't limitate, then the more money they get, the worse it is for them. Right? You want $1 million. Oh, you want $10 million. Oh, you want $100 million. Whoa, you want $1 billion. Oh, all of a sudden everybody finds out about it. He has to have guards around his house, and he doesn't. $1 billion. How many bottles of vodka can I buy with it? He doesn't know how to control himself. He says that's what it is. God's kindness is so great that to come into the world, it has to be limited. Which is not the case, the Levites. By the Levites, he doesn't have to have sarot. The hairs are not a good thing. Why? Because the whole thing of the Levites is not to give. The whole thing of the Levites is not to give over this love. It's to refrain. It's to stop. Therefore, you don't need any more. Too much refraining, too much concealing is a bad thing. Ka'ayin says something like this. It's also explained before in Parshas Emor. What do we explain in Parshas Emor? Oh, Al Pi v'nigdashti b'toch b'nei Yisrael, and what it says in a Nazir. I don't remember if we learned this. Anyway, a Nazir is also the same thing. A Nazir is a person that he wants to make himself holy, holier. So he refrains from certain things that it says in the Torah they should do. It doesn't really make much sense, the Nazir. Right? It says that he has to not drink wine or grapes. He can't eat grapes or grape juice or anything, can't drink wine. And he has to let his hair grow, and he can't defile himself. Okay, but one of the things of a Nazir is the hair. Nazir. Remember we learned in Parshas, okay, Nazir, that's Kadosh Yiyeh Gadol Pera. It says he will be holy and he will grow the hairs of his head. Look over there. Even though the techelis, even though the blue of the tzitzis is also gevura, nevertheless, Adarab, exactly the opposite. Chute techelet, the strand of blue of the tzitzis, this comes from a very, very high level. And we said that the blue is gevura, same thing, huh? We said that the Kohan, that the Levites is already enough gevura, they can't be drawn down. If you limit it too much, that like a beard, and it comes down in this limited way, that's too much limitation. That's not good. It's not good to have too much limitation in the world. It's a bad thing. Essentially, what limitation in this case means, it means egotism. In other words, being separate from God. Aaron drew down revelation of God. The Levites, they were the thing of limitation, right? God is limited enough as it is. Too much limitation in the world would not be good. A lot of times you get this is a very major thing in Hasidut. That's why Hasidim are called Hasidim, for the aspect of Chesed. Sometimes you would get these rabbis that would stand up and they were very good speakers and they were religious people, they knew the Torah, and they would talk about how bad it is to do sins and how terrible it is, a person that sins, a person that doesn't act just like me is going to go to hell. And they explain in very, very detail what hell is and what sins are and what bad things. And the people in the crowd would go berserk. They would go crazy, right? They would be afraid, they would cry, they would this. So Judaism became this really miserable the sort of jail that we're trapped in it. And the kids just wanted to get out. You know, the youth, who needs it? You know, we see my parents are always miserable. So on one hand, it's a very good thing, you know, to tell people about that there's sins and that, you know, you got to watch out and you know, you got to beware. It's a very good thing, that you have to turn from bad. But on the other hand, too much of it is totally destructive. It makes a person just a total egotist. He's just thinking about himself all day, even if he does all the commandments. He's only thinking about himself and reward and punishment and punishment and punishment. So he says that's the whole thing of Korach, and was too much gevura. So it says, one second, gevura is not good to bring in the world. Severity is not good to bring into the world. That was the string. That was the string of tzitzis that was blue. The blue, it says techelis, from the language of to how do you say, to devour, to eat up, to destroy. Tachle, that was the blue that was God bringing gevura, power, God's power into the world, severity. So why are you saying that it's not a good thing? The Levites, the beard is not a good thing, and that we see that because you can't draw more severity into the world. And in the tzitzis, there used to be this string of blue. When Mashiach comes, it'll be again. And the blue represents severity. So it's drawing God's severity into the world. So it's not a bad thing. Says the Rebbe Lodam, it's not similar. Because this string of blue, Imra, it is wool, Tzemer Lavan, white wool. This comes from this level of, like Daniel saw in his vision, the hairs of his head. He said he saw the vision of God. What is it? Like we say, he saw the aspects of God. And it says the hair on his head was like white wool. White wool. In other words, this blue of the tzitzis, true, it is severity, but it's just the color of severity. Shu adaraba emiti tachesed. This is true kindness. Raksha nitzvah begiven govern techilas. It's really true kindness of God. It's just colored blue. Hainu gamkein gevura da abba. This is also what's called gevura of God's chachma, of God. Abba is a father, and this stands for God's chachma. Chachma in general is God's life force. What's above understanding? Like you can't understand what life is. Bina is understanding. Chachma is above is above that. So this is a gevura which comes from God's life force, which this is a gevura mimotekot, sweetened gevura. Sweetened gevura. What does it mean? This is like a person has a body, right? Your body is very limited. You go, you learn anatomy. It's incredible how limited the body is. And all these veins and arteries, they have to be exact and they can't be open. Oh, you open up an artery, a vein, it's big problems. Everything has to be very, very limited, very, very, how do you say, exact in the body. That's what it's supposed to be. There are certain things which, you can, it's given to change in each person. Nobody's faces are different, and etc. Could be everybody's hearts are a little different shape. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that the human body is very exact. Every living thing usually is very exact. Right? That's the laws of nature. Find with every exact. So we just finished saying that all this exactness and the severity is not good. Well, in the human body, it's very good. So this is what's called gevurot mamutkot. This is what's called severity, but it's sweetened. It brings life. Like it says, Yirat Hashem l'chayim. Fear of God is life. So this strand of blue, even though it is severity, and we said that severity is not good to be drawn into the world, but this type of blue, this is a severity which is very healthy. V'gam or Abba, dochach chitzonim, and more, it says that the light, another name for chachma is life, also faith, emuna, faith. Faith means, at least in Judaism, it means it's something like conscience, right? You know something is right, or you know something is wrong. You know it. How do you know it? I don't know. I know it's just not good to steal. It's just not good to kill. Sometimes your conscience can mislead you. That's why the Torah is there, to let you know what really is, when to listen to your conscience and when to not. But still, your conscience usually is a feeling which comes inside it that's above understanding. Above understanding. Same thing, something like that is faith in God, true faith in God. True faith in God means that it's like your conscience tells you that God exists, that the Torah is true, that this is not just, the reason I don't want to kill people and that I don't want to steal and that I don't want to lie and to cheat, right? It's not just because, that's my nature. It's because that's what God says. And I feel that God is really true. I feel, it's a sense. Well, when a person has this sense, it says, it says the or Abba, the light of this faith of God, awareness, if you want to call it, of God, above understanding, this pushes away all negative things. Chitzonim are the negative forces. Like it says in another place. So a person that really has this feeling, that's a tzaddik, the tzaddikim, it says there are three things: love, fear, and faith of God. The main thing is faith. It's an awareness above understanding. And one person has this, sometimes it'll be gevura, it'll cause him to avoid doing things. But it pushes away bad. It pushes away bad, right? He's really hungry, he's on a flight somewhere, who knows, and he hasn't eaten the whole day, for whatever reason it is, and they serve him some meat. And the meat has a kosher stamp on it. But it's kosher from the rabbinut of who knows where, of, Rabbi McGregor, who knows? You can see obviously that this is a fake, but it has a stamp on it, and all the people that are sitting around them, they're all, who knows, not Jews, obviously. They're all Chinese or whatever. So if he eats it, nobody's going to know anything, right? He asked for kosher. But in his mind, he says, listen, God doesn't want me to eat not kosher. He doesn't want me to. So it pushes away the bad. He won't do it. And then, of course, there's people that have big desires for all sorts of things, to lie, to cheat, to steal. And nevertheless, his mind, that's what it means. It pushes away. So therefore, this techelet, the blue on the tzitzit, even though that is severity, and severity in the world is not such a good thing. That's why the Levites had to cut off their beards in order to be inaugurated. But nevertheless, this is a good type because it's just colored. This is the gvura severity, which is necessary in order to push away bad. Which is not the case. The Levites, they are essentially this aspect of severity. Hainu gamkein gvura de ema. Namely, the severity of not just chachma, but also of bina. What do you mean bina? From a level that is yes understood. Something else. I share that. Mibina dini misarin. It says that from bina, that too much severity comes. Bina is already not connection with God. It's connecting to the aspect of God which is not understandable. This is connecting to the aspect of God which is yes understandable. And for Bina, too much understanding, and not this brings to egotism. From Bina, this is the whole thing of Korach. We'll see. Korach, he had too much understanding. Even though that the gevura, that the severity that Korach wanted to bring into the world, it comes from above. It's holy. La'orer harina tish v'chuka. This severity, also what we said before, is like fire, and it's a holy fire. It's a holy fire. Remember, we had nadav and avihu, a holy fire that rouses singing. That's what the Levites were singing. And a tshuka and a desire for God. So it's a good thing, right? It says no. Because from there it's very severe. They have to remove their hairs, at least for their inauguration day, etc. So in other words, let's just take a simple example. When we have egotism is a wonderful thing. From egotism comes all the progress in the world, all the harmony in the world, all the different opinions that there are in the world, right? Progress, building, wonderful things come from egotism. But too much egotism is terrible. Too much egotism, you can't get along with anybody. You have to have everything your way, right? If it's selfish, you're for sure not going to listen to what it says in the Torah and the commandments. Egotism could be the most destructive thing in the world. That was the whole problem with Adam eating from the tree. When he ate from the tree, it brought a whole new level of egotism in the world, bad egotism. Look what it says in the Divra Maska Balotcha. So that's what the Levites wanted to do, etc. That's why why Korach was jealous of Aaron, that Aaron is the escort of the queen of the Jewish people. Namely, Aaron draws into them this tremendous love, which elevates the Jewish people. This is the love of Aaron that he draws into the world. And the beard, which is symbolized by the beard of Aaron, the sarot, and the hairs of the Kohanim in general, is drawn down holiness into the world, love and fear of the Jewish people. And the Levites, exactly, it says, Havirutar, that they have to remove the hairs of their head. Because the Levites, they don't have this ability to draw love into the world. That's not their thing. Because they didn't have this ability, therefore, chalak alav alzet. Therefore, he hated Aaron, couldn't stand him. And he said, he said, like what do you say, sour grapes, right? Sour grapes. You can't get them. They're probably bad anyway. He looked at Aaron. He said, I can't be like Aaron. We don't need him. We don't need Aaron. We don't need these strings coming down. Not the strings of the beard, not the strings of the tzitzis. Shasarot, the sasarot, and the chutim, that these hairs and these strings, huam shachab bechinas tzimtzum. It's contraction. Therefore, he said, if we have a talit that's all blue, what does it mean? That Aaron was saying, that Korach was saying, the main thing is this blue color. Why? Because blue color, that's the level of the gavuros, of the severities. And we said that it devours and it devours and eliminates all bad. That's good, huh? That's a good thing. Omer, he said, therefore, he said, Levi said, the main thing is a talit that's all blue. Namely, the surrounding level, that's what the makif that we were talking about before, the surrounding level that is too powerful, can't come into the world. Oh, this is what we want. That's what we want. Shehu patur min tzitzis. If you have so much of this gavura that you're just turning away from bad, that will, you don't have to have tzitzit. Shehem achutim v'sarot, all these drawing down of kindness and things like that. But Omer she'ein tzorach klal hamshachazu, you don't need all this kindness of Aaron. Tihari hamakif atzmo gavo yoter, because this is higher, this surrounding level of God is higher than any of these details. Something a little bit like this we can say, let's say, is these people saying that you don't need Torah, you don't need commandments. Something like this, right? We got God, you believe in God, that's good enough. You have the Torah, you translate the Torah however you want, interpret whatever you want to. All these rabbis, who needs it, right? This is a very, very dangerous and destructive thing. But on the other hand, it frees you. There's a person, I can do what I want, right? You know what? I have the Bible. I can interpret it what I want. With the Bible, I can excuse anything I want to. I just have to look around. Anything that I want is godly. And the fact is what you do want is godly. It is God who gave you the desire to do whatever you do, right? To kill, to steal, God forbid, to do all these things. God is giving you the ability, right? The only thing is it says in the Torah not to do it. So you reinterpret it. What do you need the rabbis for? Don't kill, that means don't kill time, right? Don't steal means don't steal first base. You can make up anything you want to. And so therefore, that's what Korach wanted. No limitations, right? No limitations. We have this upper level, this surrounding level. We don't need these strands coming down into the world. We don't have to have this or panima that comes into everyone. How can it be that a talis, which the talis itself is the surrounding level, and the surrounding level is pure godliness, loya ha-mitzvah ki'im rak, how can it be that the talit, which is a surrounding level of godliness, which encompasses all being, and it has all power in it, how can it be that it's not a commandment unless these little strings are drawing down from it? You already got the whole thing of strings. Lagabi amakiv, how can it be? Therefore, his intention in this was not just on the beard and the job of Aaron, but also the whole fact that there is such a thing as Aaron a Kohen. If you don't need the strings coming down, which is the love that Aaron draws into the world, you don't need this whole thing. You don't need the whole position is unnecessary. Therefore, Yochalhu liot gamken liot Kohen Gadol. Therefore, he says, I also want to be the Kohen, the high Kohen. Anybody can be. Even though the Levites, they cannot draw down this high level of holiness, but nevertheless, Hari Omer, Talit Shekula Techilat, and so you don't have to have any strings. And so therefore, now we can understand why people liked Korach. Korach said, enough limitations. We have the Torah. We got out of Egypt. Now, every man for himself. Make up your own interpretations. What do you need this Moses for? What do you need Aaron drawing down blessings into the world? What do you need blessings for? We're blessed enough. Everybody does what they want to. I mean, it's something like it. It's a terrible example, but maybe it's not. I mean, this could be the source of it. But it's like let's say someone who can't see, so he wants everybody to be blind. Someone that hasn't got a voice, doesn't like music, so he hates music. He doesn't want anybody to play music. But somebody that's not happy, so he wants misery loves company, like they say. He wants everyone to be miserable. But he can't understand. He's bitter about the whole world. Why is everybody healthy and I'm not healthy? Would you be happy if everybody was sick? Then, okay, then I can understand. That was Korach. Korach lacked the ability to draw down this love of God into the world and to articulate godliness into all these details. He lacked this ability. It was too much. He had too much power. So therefore he said, let's just have the thing pure egotism. Everybody does what they want. Well, concealment to the ultimate degree. What was his mistake? I mean, it's an idea. The Jewish people loved it. What was his problem? What's the solution? That we're going to learn, God willing, tomorrow. Now we'll learn a sikha of the Rebbe about Gimel Tammuz. Here we go. Let's learn this.